the team that, people can be a part of. And then do you find that difficult as well, being part of the Hockey Roos, and then you've all come from different areas of Australia, and then you get lumped together and you kind of also get to know each other? How did it go about for you learning or getting into that space?
Yeah, it's really hard, especially when I was fortunate when I first moved to Perth for my first ever senior squad. I'd already debuted, so I'd played a few times. So I knew a lot of the girls through junior stuff. And then from there, I also was fortunate in the regard that I played every single game of my first year in the squad. Wow. Which, I was fortunate to do so. There was injuries, there was athletes who were being rested, and had it been another scenario, I may not have, but I'm so thankful for that experience. But that made it easier. Being away as a group overseas, overseas travel, is very foreign right now. But at the time, you got to spend time with these people that I knew of and I had looked up to for so long, but now I actually got to, live day in, day out with them. So you build those connections and those relationships. But yeah, it can be really hard, and a lot of girls struggle with it, especially because we are centralised. So it's not only that you've got to get to know everyone in the team, and we do a very good job of that these days as the Hockey Roos, to be very inclusive and open and welcoming and make people feel like it is a home. You move away from your family. Like, my family is a 4.5 hour flight to Melbourne, which I can't get home to on a weekend because we've got club hockey. Or if I do, I get to spend a day with them, and then with COVID restrictions, it's too risky anyway currently. So it's not only the fact of not knowing the group here, it's also the fact of how far you are away from your family.
Being separated from your family. That's a big one. Had a bit of experience with that as well. I'm from Adelaide as well.
Right, okay.
Then I ended up going home over the whole COVID shutdown. But then coming back, I wasn't able, my partner Casey, she was obviously still over there. She wasn't here at the time. And I didn't get to see anyone for 6 to 7 months until we were able to open the borders. And there was a time where we were almost about to open the border, but then Adelaide had a few, and then it got shut down again, and I was sitting there going, oh, this is a struggle. So I was able to get home for Christmas, so I was able to sort of there. So how, is there anything like, if a new player gets into the squad and they've come from Melbourne, Victoria, I should say, do they get put into little groups? Is it almost, we have a little subgroup of 8 kind of players in a group, and they kind of not mentor, but kind of get looked up. They go out to dinners together. They do the revision, all that sort of stuff together. Is there something similar?
Yeah, probably less so when I moved over, but it's getting better, and there's more focus on it. I moved in with a family, which I would recommend every athlete doing. I was 23 at the time. It doesn't matter how old you are. You could be 18, you could be 25 or 6. I think if you're moving out of home for the first time and across the country, you probably should be with a family.
Oh, wow. That was your first time even moving out of home?
I've lived in the same house, in my same bedroom for 23 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I was finishing my study, and that's what kind of at home. I wasn't going to move out of home until I'd finished my study, and then obviously, the Hockey Roos came calling, and that's when I moved to Perth. But I think we take it as a responsibility for each and every one of us as the group these days to, invite people for coffee or catch up outside of hockey or a dinner, or, even just checking in. It goes a long way. And when people came up to me in my first year and were like, how are you actually going? How are you coping? Not in a negative way, but just, actually wanting to listen to that response rather than the classic, oh, hey, how are you? And you don't even listen to what I've said. I might say I'm terrible, or I really miss home, or I'm really homesick. Actually checking in with that person and seeing how they're going and how they're coping. And I think it's something the AFL system does quite well, because typically the draftees are 18, and they move with the family, and they're quite well supported, but it's something that hockey is continuing to develop, and I hope they continue to put more time and energy into in the years to come.
Do you feel like you were 23 years old at the time, do you feel like that kind of being a little bit more mature helped you out coming over? You obviously be more independent, and you knew what you kind of had to do, I guess?
Massive difference. I think some athletes will move over at 18, and we shouldn't stop them moving over at 18.
No.
But you are immature as an 18-year-old. A lot of people can't cook, they can't clean. Even when I remember when I first arrived on my first day, the family that I was staying with was actually away at the time, and I arrived at the house, which was pre-planned and fine. Yeah. And I was like, where's the supermarket? I know you can put it into Google Maps, but it's something that I'd lived in the same house, so I knew where that was. I knew where you just don't think about those kind of things. And once, I found my feet fine, and I was okay. But, I'm a very organised person, and that maturity probably came as well as being a little bit older. But just knowing that, if training starts at 6, you don't get there at 6. You get there earlier, and you shouldn't be racing off to something, and you need to communicate. If you're unwell, you don't just not rock up to training. Those kind of little bits and pieces that I look at now, I'm like, well, of course, that's just common sense and knowledge, but it actually isn't a lot if you haven't been in a program and you haven't had requirements on you and expectation on you in a VIS or program like that.
Yeah, and it goes the other way too. As a coach as well, you kind of take for granted that you've been old enough now, you get up, you have these responsibilities that you do yourself naturally, but you have, when you're coaching younger kids that don't know these things, or they're 18, they might rock up 10 minutes late, but the expectation is that you're actually here 5 minutes before, not on 6 o'clock.
Nah, you're late. If you're not 5 minutes early, you're late.
Yeah, that's a big one.
Yeah.
But then we'll have that issue all the time with the guys, and then I forgot.
Yeah. How did you forget? Every Wednesday we train at whatever time it might be.
And it might be sometimes you get like a random message like, do we start gym at 4:30 on a Monday? I'm like, for the last 12 weeks we've started at 4 o'clock. Why is it 4:30?
Yeah.
Oh goodness.
Yes.